Hey guys, what's going on? So I took two trades yesterday and today. So yesterday I took a trade on US30, which was over here. So what I was looking at originally was this being the continuation off the back of that. If we zoom out to the higher time frame, what we were looking at on the daily was basically this being a continuation to make its way higher. So yesterday I ended up taking that trade, and if I just drop down to the 1 hour, what we could see is after we had the push away, we then got this continuation here, where then I was able to get positioned in here to then go long. I did close position around about there. Only reason being is it brought me back to break even or just over by 1%. And then today I was able to get into a XAUUSD long. So basically what I was looking at is a very similar trade idea. This one was more so on the side of the running channel. So what we had is liquidity tapped in just about over there. We then had a squeeze to the upside. We had a sharp bit of liquidity there, and then we have a massive gap where we've missed the gap multiple times. So it makes sense to eventually make our way back up there. So what I was looking at over here is, when we can see it over here, we had the push here and the push here. And then if we go into the 4 hour, what we can then see a bit closer is originally we can see that this is technically working as a section 1, section 2, section 3. We overrided over here, but we didn't quite fulfill and tap into those areas. So for that reason, I was then a bit on the side of, okay, well, we've come down corrective. It doesn't really look like the move where we're just going to continue to the downside. It's possible, but it didn't look like it. And then if that was the case, I would have probably looked for continuation in these areas to then go short. We didn't quite get that. So at that point there, I was very neutral, but after seeing how price came to the downside and then was able to go to the 1 hour, see that we then responded to this low over here. We came back down with this, and then I was looking at how can I get in for a long. So yesterday evening, I was looking at something to kind of come in like that, to see if we got something like this to then go long. I understood that, you know, we are potentially now in a run momentum to the upside, so we may not get the most perfect clean structure. So then when I went to the 15, I was then looking at it a bit closer. Originally I had it on like this, but then I understood there was a little bit of liquidity there where we could potentially just push and tap into that bit and then push away for the buy. So then again, it was not the cleanest of structures, but then we had the little bit of a squeeze over here, and then I went back to the 1 hour and I was looking at it a bit closer, and then I understood that, okay, well, you know, if we're rejecting from these areas, I'll just set my order here, and if I get tagged in, I can get tagged in with stops below there, and then that's basically how I took the trade. So I was able to then anticipate the trade when it was coming down into those areas. I set my order just about there and stops just below, and now I'm in the trade for the long, and that's basically the whole trade idea for this one. So that's basically the two trades that I'm looking at. Hopefully this one does commit and move to the upside. It's very likely though that, you know, because it's obviously in the middle of this section here, we could potentially see something like that, where it maybe even retest the back end of this, gives us something like that, and then we go long again, and potentially we can get another entry. Nice thing is obviously stops at break even over here. That's a good thing. So I'll be looking at that a bit closer, but obviously bearing in mind as well, because we are in a run of momentum as well, we may not see that particular larger structure just yet. We may see something on the 15-minute where it does something like this. We get something clean like that, something nice and flat, and then we get that continuation and we move higher, and that comes into next week. So that is something that I will be looking at very closely as well, where are we going to be then getting that, and then maybe then we wick through, come back up, and then in these areas we could probably take an entry there and then potentially get in long for the upside. So that's basically it, guys. Hope this video was helpful, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.